Hi, my name is Doug Fleming. Recently, I was elected in March and seated in July of 2020 on the Nevada City Council in Nevada City, California. I also am the president of the Food Bank Board right now. I'm also on the board of the Foundry, the Miners Foundry. And so that gives me a really deep connection to the community and to Nevada City. And so joining the council was something that I thought was the next step in getting integrated into the community. We've been here for about 8 years. We were watching the things that were going on with Nevada City. We lived in the city and realized that we had an ability to help. When I was running for office, the council was somewhat dysfunctional. I don't think it had the respect of the community it did, because there was a lot of infighting and sort of grandstanding and things like that. And so I was sort of elected to bring some experience and I guess some civility back to the council table. I mean, that was sort of what the people, when I talked to the folks as I was campaigning, they all told me what they wanted and what they were interested in and what they cared about. And so that was really eye-opening to see. And again, everybody cares here. It just, I just love the fact that people care so much. My council experience has been completely different than any other council. The three of us who are newer on the council, because we haven't sat at the council table officially. Everything has been on Zoom. And so there's a whole different dynamic that you don't interact with your fellow council people. You don't interact with the public, who are usually in there giving you public comment. It's all on Zoom. It's a little, more distant, and there's no, the connection is different. People are doing different things on Zooms. We all know that. And so one of the challenges for the council, the city hall, has been, the COVID pandemic and the requirements that various jurisdictions are imposing on their citizens as far as masks and COVID compliance for restaurants and retail shops and things like that. I would say that COVID has shown a light on a lot of problems that weren't that bad and caused a lot of problems to be exacerbated by the fact that there are all these new regulations and protocols. So I think it was a real challenge for our city hall because of a culture. I think it was more of a culture issue there that didn't embrace the COVID compliance mandates as much as the council had hoped, I think. And so there was some conflict there. I think the council was looking for more action on getting restaurants to comply with COVID. And we've been going down the legal rabbit hole with some of this stuff, and it's not fun because everybody's struggling. These restaurants are just trying to make it. I talked to one of these owners who's one of these renegade restaurants that are staying open during the pandemic, and his whole house is tied up in there. If the restaurant fails, he loses the restaurant and his house. So I understand the pain and the anguish that people are going through, but there's another aspect of us trying to be good neighbors and good citizens for each other and to care about each other. Unfortunately, this mask thing has become a polarizing, divisive issue. I mean, it really is silly. It's a piece of cloth, You cover your mouth when you cough, wear a mask, That's my philosophy. I actually got called out on that in the paper. Somebody said that I should be ashamed of myself for saying that if you don't want to wear a mask, don't come downtown. And I sort of stand by that. I'm proud of the fact that our residents and our business owners said we don't feel safe because people come downtown and they don't wear masks, and we can't get them to do that. We don't want them in our restaurants. We don't want them in a store. We want to comply with the regulations. Please help us. And so we tried to provide some support in some regulations that we could enforce, because the restaurants and bars are sort of overseen by the environmental health department of the county. They're the health department that sort of inspects the restaurants and things like that, and they have power over them that we don't. And so there was this whole process where the county was going after some of these restaurants, and they wanted us to join in, and we had to support it. But, my biggest problem with this is that the businesses and restaurants who are doing well, or following the rules rather, or abiding by the rules, are suffering. Their businesses are suffering, and these other businesses aren't. I think they'll have some repercussions down the road when they don't have their locals coming back to them because of what bad citizens they were, or bad actors they were in this space. But it has added a whole different layer of complexities, and frankly, there's a lot more issues to deal with during COVID than in normal times, and it's caused some of the other priorities of the city, and certainly some of the priorities that I want to work on, to get pushed aside. And so that's been the biggest difference, I think, not being able to sit at the table and look your council folks in the eyes and interact with the public on a meaningful level. That's what it's about. I used to go to the council meetings, and that's what I love, was this, back and forth, and, sometimes it was contentious, and it was fun, I can't wait to get back to that, I'll stand up to any scrutiny that anybody gives me, I may be wrong sometimes, but I try to make the best decision with the information that I have, and I hope I get it right most of the time, if not 99% of the time.